Yo, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement with yours truly, comedian Mike Marino. We're in the basement. We got some funny stuff on the wall over there that we're going to talk about, possibly, in case we get hungry. But I have a wonderful guest on the show this afternoon or tonight or whatever time it is while you're watching it, because we're here at 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, we're so tired. This is Heather Darling, everybody. Heather Darling. And let's get into the conversation and see what's going on in her world and why she came down to the basement, because we actually are in the basement. Hey!
How are you,
How
Mike?
are you?
Great to see you this morning.
Finally.
You're wide awake, finally.
I'm awake. I'm awake. I don't know how we got this going, but
I wish we were on a cruise ship. We could have done it that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I love the basement. This is great what you've done, but
I'm glad you've been watching me on these cruise ships. I love going on the ships. I love touring the world. But, it's very difficult to do recordings and stuff like that because we talk about the internet.
right.
You could be way out in the middle of the ocean having a great conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden it just shuts off and you have nothing. And if you go to start again, then it's kind of stale.
Yeah, it doesn't work the same. Down here is awesome. I mean, do you ever turn the camera around so people can see this
I
cash register, authentic, the drums
Thank
in
you.
the corner?
Thank
It's
you.
fantastic.
Nobody ever says anything about the place.
You guys should see this. It's awesome. I feel like I'm back in like the 1970s growing up down here.
70s.
Yeah.
It is. Actually, this house goes back to the 40s.
I don't, fortunately.
Good for you. I thought I had like a lawyer slash politician in the basement. I got another comedian.
You may.
Great, great. Sometimes I do turn the camera around. I'm really happy and proud about the way I made this basement look, because I did grow up in this house. And my mother was always here, making the meatballs and the macaroni, and the boys were all down here having some fun. And I kept it the same way because now it's my little man cave slash show.
So you got the sleighs up in the rafters,
Yeah.
and he's got surfboards on there. You guys got to see this: water skis, surfboards. I feel like I'm at a bar at the beach. It's great, except no sand.
That was kind of the feel I was going for, like a TGI Fridays with all the stuff hanging around. But this is actually from my childhood and my dad's childhood.
Wow.
So I'm glad that you noticed the sleds. These two sleds over here are 50s, but there is a sled over there that's from the 40s. And I should show people on the show what they look like, because how dangerous were these sleds?
I had one. They were great.
They're metal.
Yeah.
You would crash into another person and they would get hurt. You remember you put a rope in the front, and that's how you drove it with the rope.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they're still around. I mean, they're metal. So nowadays, what do you see? Plastic.
I don't know.
So nobody
I
gets
think so.
hurt.
Yeah, nobody gets hurt. But you're not allowed to do it on a hill. If nobody's supposed to get hurt, you can't even go to a hill.
I don't even know what anybody could do anymore. I mean, I do an act about watered down toys and you can't get hurt. When we played with Tonka trucks, and everybody got hurt. That was the purpose.
Did you smash your fingers with those?
Yes.
Oh, I can't
There's
imagine.
2 Tonka trucks upstairs. You will get
I've
hurt.
seen those things.
Right?
Yeah. They're serious.
Well, where did you grow up?
Roxbury.
Roxbury.
Mars County, Roxbury. Yeah.
So you're a Jersey,
Jersey girl. Yeah.
no matter what.
No matter what.
But you have like perfect diction. Did
maybe
you study that?
I did not,
You
as we
didn't?
enunciate very clearly.
Yeah.
So I was born in PA, and then I came here when I was 5, and I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, I'm listening to you talk. I don't hear none of that. Hey, how you doing? Ooh, a talk, walk, board. I mean, I
Well,
do.
Wait, but let me say this: I'm Polish and English. I'm not Italian.
Right.
That's your Italian thing that you do in your comedy routine.
Well, my mother had an accent from Italy. She'd talk a little bit more like a this. But yeah, I guess we have that Jersey ease, and maybe it's because of the Italian heritage. We put it on a little thicker.
Yeah, I have some of it, but not like what you can do.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back into your history, into your life. Born and raised in Jersey?
Born and raised in
Pennsylvania.
Raised in Jersey, born in PA, raised in Jersey. Hmm.
I think, like everybody else, I consider PA Jersey. You're right there.
Yeah,
Like New York.
Some people are right there if you're in Allentown. I was about 2.5 hours into PA. So you sort of go through the cornfields, and when you see enough cornfields in 80, you make a right. You go about 2 miles down and up a mountain that wasn't even paved till I was about 16. We had a dirt road. My dad didn't sell the house right away. So I was 16 when we sold it. They had just paved the road at that point. Let's call it 1985. Our road got paved in
Right.
PA. Think about that. No one came out there.
I like the way you said that when you see enough cornfields, that's
That's
when you know
it.
you're by my house.
Yes, yes, it was like that
Children of
out
the
there.
corn.
I think the same thing when I think about all those cornfields. It was great. We used to snowmobile for hours out there. You just go, you come upon a farmhouse, they'd invite you in, then they'd ride with you for a couple hours till you got cold. You go to another one. It was fantastic. Great childhood.
It is. I think we're missing out. Well, I wouldn't know. I'm saying I think kids are missing out with those big areas, these crazy hardcore sleds where you basically went to a golf course.
Yes.
And when the snow hit that golf course, kids attacked it and it had all the slopes.
Well, we lived on a hill growing up here, and I see your skateboard over here. If I took this off, I probably could show you the scars because I would Superman the landing, the crash landing every time. What do they tell you? Don't put your hands out. Every time I would Superman it. It's shocking that I never broke a bone.
So you got scars from
Oh, I'm
skateboarding
sure I
from
do.
back in the day?
I'm sure I do.
Grew up a tomboy?
A little bit.
Can we say tomboy anymore? Is it okay
You
now?
can say it to me. It's all
Tomboy?
right. Yeah, I was raised by my dad.
Holy shit, with all the stuff that's going on in this world, I forgot. Can we actually say tomboy? Somebody might get offended by that.
You know,
How about a tom girl?
right?
Tomboy.
Right, exactly. What do you say now?
I say what I want to say, quite
There
honestly.
it
It's
is.
my
There
show.
it is.
Leave me alone.
Exactly.
I don't know any better. Can't get mad at me. I'm stupid.
I don't
the
know.
tomboy.
Yes, exactly. So there it is. Trees, skateboards.
That skateboard is from when I'm 13 years old.
Wow.
A lot of stuff in this basement's from back in the day. And I really just kept everything because I was just that type of a kid. And now I just think it's cool looking. So when people do come down here like yourself and they say, oh, would you go buy this? I'm like, no, actually, it's all authentic. It's been here. And if you know about that skateboard that we're looking at, those are Kryptonics. And that's when Kryptonics actually came out after everybody had metal wheels. Did you have metal wheels on your skateboard?
I did not have metal
Roller
wheels.
skates?
No. When I was a little kid, I had the clip-ons, the clip-on roller skates that had the metal wheels. They go on your shoes.
You clip
We used
them
to go
on?
up and down the sidewalk. Yeah, literally clip on. We had like a little cage, like a bicycle tow cage.
Yep.
And then the clip on the back. And you skate around the sidewalk.
Yep.
I mean, I think you came out of them probably every 3 or 4 steps and had to reattach it. But you're a kid. What did you care?
You fell out of the skate,
Yeah.
and when you was skating on the concrete, it sparked.
I don't know. I was in them. I couldn't see what was coming out behind me.
Oh, my God. All right, so now you're in Jersey. What town did you grow up in?
Roxbury.
Roxbury. I've been in Jersey most of my life. I've never heard of Roxbury.
All right. Well,
Where is it?
I didn't hear Scotch Plains until
Today.
No, I've been here before, but I was probably in my 20s. So it's in Morris County. Parsippany, right? Let's do roads because that's how we do New Jersey. We navigate via roads. So from here, you would take 78 west to 206 north, and you go about 12 miles on 206 north, and you'd be in Flanders, which is right next to Roxbury.
Right.
So it's at the intersection of 80 and 46. It's great. I mean, I'm on a couple acres, nice grass, trees, deer, bear, fox, you name it. Woodpecker. I was walking the dogs yesterday, saw a woodpecker out there.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. It's like nature.
It's nice to see these particular things, but I've never really seen a woodpecker peck.
Okay.
Have
They
you?
do peck
You-
wood.
you-
I have a
What are
video.
they doing? They eating it or making a hole?
They're making a hole to get the bugs out. They have that long, skinny beak. They're looking for bugs.
No kidding.
Yeah, I've got a video. Of
I
it
have an
somewhere.
educational show now. A woodpecker pecks to get a bug,
There you go. They're hungry. That's why they peck.
like a person.
It's like a chicken crossing the road to get to the other side. The
Right.
woodpecker's looking for food.
I didn't even know that. I thought the woodpecker was actually making a hole so he could live in the pole or something like that. But
They
then
might
again,
do that too.
it would be. It seems like it would be impossible
To move in, hollow it out.
to hollow it out.
I don't know.
We do hear woodpeckers in this area once in a while, but you never seem to see where they are. You just hear that noise.
That echo. Yeah, it's very hard.
It's
You have
loud.
to see it fly. They actually have. Remember the cartoon Woody Woodpecker?
Yeah.
The red head.
Yeah.
They actually have that.
Right.
That's how I knew what it was yesterday. They're black and white with that red head. It's legit.
So you saw him pecking.
I saw him jump out of the tree and fly off in front of me. I saw the red head go, so that's how I knew.
That is insane. I just finished doing a tour in Alaska, and to see a bald-headed eagle come around is unbelievable
Never
because
seen
they
it.
just come around like it's a squirrel, and they're everywhere, and they're huge. Their wingspans sometimes between 4 feet to 6 feet long,
My
and they say, hold on to your kids because it could snatch up a toddler. And they are picking up big animals.
I'm sure.
They come flying down, and you see them grab the salmon, just like
Ye-
on National Geographic, but you're there.
That's amazing.
It's pretty wild.
Now you see the polar bears and everything up there.
No, I never seen the
Penguins.
polar bears. We don't go close to that. I didn't see the penguins either. I think that might be the wrong area.
Really?
I could be wrong,
Antarctica.
but I think that's
penguins?
Antarctica. We were in Alaska.
I feel like they.
We
would
better
have
get
them in
out a
both
book.
because of the climates. I know. See, this is an
We
educational
better
show.
get we better get
You
some
want me to
Google
go to
going.
Google while you do a commercial?
You
That's
see the whales and stuff, but I think I don't know. Let's say this is Alaska and this is the Antarctica, or reverse, or something like that. So the penguins are here and the
I
eagles are
guess.
here, not here.
I don't know. I thought they had them in both for some reason.
I don't know. All I know is if you've never been to Alaska, you should go see it because
All
it
right.
really is
I
pretty
never
amazing.
have. I want to.
It's amazing. You're not going to see a woodpecker, but
It's okay.
you might see the brown bear,
Okay.
not a polar bear,
The grizzly.
a grizzly.
All right. I've seen the black ones in the woods.
Well, they actually have them in New Jersey now.
Yeah. Well, they don't. Not so much grizzlies, but the black bears are everywhere.
There's some kind of a bear roaming around in New Jersey because I saw it in the news.
Yeah.
And they were saying that, it's in somebody's backyard.
Everywhere. They haven't had the hunt in years. So now this bear population is like ridiculous. So what's happening is you're going out to take your garbage out, and all of a sudden there's a bear standing there. What do?
Yeah.
I run back in if it's
You give
me.
him a meatball. Have a meatball. You interested in eating a woodpecker? There's one right up there.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you can outrun the woodpecker, you're good.
So you're growing up in New Jersey, Roxbury, and then you obviously had to go to a college somewhere to become so highly intelligent.
Well, I don't know about that. I went to college somewhere. I went to NYU, New York City. Was awesome. 18 years old, living in the village. You can imagine. Like,
So you moved into the city?
I did. I had an apartment in the city, and then I like having a car. I like my freedom and coming back out to the country, and I was very restricted
country.
there. The country.
She just called New Jersey the country.
Yeah, my part of it is
This
the
is
country.
the country. Where do you live? In the country. How you doing?
Exactly. Sussex County.
Yeah.
I'm right on the edge of Sussex County.
Right.
We're in the country up there. Like they just redistricted the legislation, the legislative districts. So I'm now in legislative district 24, which is Sussex County. So I'm right there. It's fantastic.
Legislation. I can't even say it. District. I got
Right.
district down.
Okay.
You know what's funny is a lot of people were talking about the different accents with just in the state of New Jersey. So people down south, let's say by Wildwood, sound different than us people here in North Jersey.
It's very true. So I was talking to Bill Spadia on his show the other day. And
What's up, Bill Spadia? Big shout out to Bill.
Hey, Bill. So and that came up, right? He was talking. The question or the topic was how many New Jerseys are there? Because when you look at the length of the state, you're driving in the state from north to south for 3 hours
That's it.
at least, right? So do we have North Jersey, South Jersey, and Central Jersey? I say we even have two Central because I consider myself Northern Central, and I would consider where he is in Princeton Southern Central. And then you get into the north and the south. You got different sports teams, different accents. It's amazing. People don't look at it that way.
Yeah, I think there was a discussion whether they're going to say there's North and South and omit Central.
Mm-hmm.
It's just North and South Jersey.
Right.
But there is a Central Jersey. I
Totally.
think we're in Central
You're
Jersey
in Central
right now.
Jersey. Yeah, we're here
Yeah.
now. The basement is in Central
The
Jersey.
basement. We keep it mutual.
Yes.
Neutral. This is neutral grounds.
Right. You've got elements of the shore. You've got elements in the mountain. You've got it all in the basement. It's great.
Yeah, we got it all in the basement. All we got to do now is get a woodpecker.
That's it. I'll bring one.
So how long did you go to school in the city?
3 years. Finished in 3 years. Went to school in the summer. For finance, international business. Wanted to be done with it, so I worked. I went to school. I did everything. Wanted to graduate and make money, keep up with the Joneses. All my friends went to engineering. So when we graduated, they were making tons of money. I was very disappointed. I wanted to hurry up and graduate. Made a lot less as a business major.
Right.
So I went into stocks, selling stocks for a while, and then got into real estate, and then went to law school after at Seton Hall, in order to learn how to do the contracts for our real estate stuff, right? That was the plan. But then I decided I wanted to practice. So here
Law.
we are. Law.
All right. So
Or medicine.
we moved
whatever.
it up as fast as I could because I wanted to get to the law. She's a lawyer.
Uh-oh.
We all need lawyers from time to time. I need a lawyer now because I want to write my what is it called when you
Your memoirs.
well, I'm going to write a I am writing a book, but no, you write up something, you will your last will and testament.
There you go.
So I had our mutual friend John Bramnick introduce me to some people who do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the one particular guy said to me, "You're registered as a voter in Los Angeles, California. You have to do it there."
That's interesting.
I didn't know that. I thought I could write up a will no matter where I live.
Oh, you could write it up anywhere you want, really. But where's it going to be probated? And
I would assume here because this is where everybody I know is,
okay, so if
or
you're
would leave
so
things too.
well, here's what's interesting. If your executor is here, then it would be easier if it were probated here. But
Mhm.
it's the place of your last residence. So if your main residence is in California, then it would be probated in that county in California.
I better hurry up and move back.
Change that address. Just what? One day more. So that's it.
Yeah,
One more day in New Jersey.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Get off the cruise ship one day early.
What kind of a lawyer did you become?
A really good one.
There you
No.
go. That's a Jersey girl. A really good one. I'm a tomboy. Don't mess with me.
Exactly.
I'll sue you.
There it is. There it is.
We got to get into all the different lawsuits that are going on in this world because I've been doing a routine about, did you go to Camp Lejeune between 1955 and 1988? You could have a suit.
It's true.
I feel like going, yeah, but I could have cancer because I drank from a hose.
You never
I mean,
know.
come on.
You never know. We did when we were kids, right? Everybody drank from
Yeah.
the hose. You wouldn't even dare that now.
I would. But because it tasted so good, like metal.
Oh, there it is. So,
What-
that's what you wanted.
What kind of a lawyer?
So mostly I ended up doing divorce. And I'm going to say it wasn't by choice. I clerked for family court. I was the teaching assistant for my family professor. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do estate planning and business contracts. There wasn't a lot of that in Roxbury. So I ended up answering the phone. Do you do divorce? No, no, no. Sure, we'll do it. We started doing divorce because that's what everybody wanted, right? They got one, then they got two, now they get three. So that was the phone call, and that's what I ended up doing.
Divorce law?
A lot of divorce law. But I still did do estate planning, but it took a while to build that up, and the business law, it took a while to build that up. Now, I don't do any estate planning by virtue of my office as Morris County surrogate. That's a conflict. We probate the wills in my office, so I better not be writing what we're probating.
So you do what I said I was needing.
Well, I don't anymore because now that I'm the surrogate, I'm precluded from doing it.
This is going to be fun. She just handed a comedian the word surrogate.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's not.
First of all, I got one question before that.
Not what we do.
How do you do your own divorce as a divorce lawyer? If you ever had to.
All right, so
Can you do your own divorce?
You can. You can do it as not a divorce lawyer, but you know the old adage, he who represents himself has a fool for a client. You get emotional and you're ineffective. As soon as you become emotional, that's
Oh.
why you hire a lawyer who
Because
has
he don't care. She don't
it's
care.
not that they don't care. It's not that, your lawyer doesn't care. It's that your lawyer doesn't get emotional the way you do. They don't go back to that night that somebody came home drunk, late, smelling like somebody else's perfume or whatever's the case.
Right.
So, when I call you, my number comes up restricted?
Yes.
That is because divorce clients get upset at 2 o'clock in the morning, any given day of the week, when somebody isn't home yet or comes home drunk. That's when your phone rings.
Oh.
So that's why you don't want to represent yourself, that emotion.
That's pretty interesting. Because I was wondering how I can call you and I see your name in my phone, but every time you called me, it said restricted
Mm-hmm.
or no ID.
Well, you can text me, though, or call me.
Right.
Yeah.
How come it's in my phone but not in my phone when you call? Oh, you do something to make it do
Verizon does something for me
Oh.
to make it do that.
that. Guess I better get Verizon. How'd you know it was me?
Yes. Well, when I called from outside, you knew it was me.
Yeah. Well, I was expecting you.
See?
So when you do divorces, you don't get emotional because you're not involved that way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever a little bit because you knew somebody?
In the beginning, I it was difficult because there's a difference. You're coming at it as a human being until
Yeah.
you learn that you do need to disassociate yourself from it. There's a disadvantage to coming at it from that empathetic point. You need to understand, but you need to be very aware of the facts. So yes, it took me a little while to withdraw. And yes, when you know somebody, also you tend to be sympathetic to the person that you know.
You could just imagine somebody calling Mike, you got to help me. I'm like, oh man, what a bitch. She wants what? Dude, we got to fry this girl. What about the kids? Don't worry about them. What?
Right, that's the problem. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing that people fight about in the divorce, the kids. That's the hardest part for me, I think for most lawyers about a divorce, because money's money, right? You make it, you lose it, but the kids, they're your kids. You're going from 100% of the time to 50% of the time with your kids.
Did you ever have to deal with the kids?
I've
Did
had
they ever call you and go, hey, listen, my mom, my dad, help?
no, no. And so as an attorney, you talk to your client. I wouldn't talk to their mother, their brother, their sister unless it were something where that person was going to testify and I needed them on there. And kids don't testify.
So is there more divorces now than ever?
I haven't done divorces in probably, it's about 3 years now. But I'm going to say, yeah, there's more than ever. Interestingly, during COVID, everybody was forced to be inside those same four walls all day, every day. That inspired a lot of them. And the courts were so backed up because the courts were shut down. So everything was on Zoom. It was very difficult. I think the courts are still weeding through that right now.
And so after all this time of practicing law, doing different types of cases and stuff like that, you put your hat in the ring for politics.
Yep.
And this is what you tried to explain to me. There's certain law you can't practice now because you became a politician. Is that right?
Because of the position that I hold as a politician.
Is this why John Bramnick can't accept money as a comedian because he's a politician?
It's possible.
That's what he said.
Okay.
You can't pay me. I'm like, perfect.
Is that why you bring him into back?
Yes. He's the greatest opening act. He's free. No. He's actually phenomenal. He's a great comedian, but there is a reason why he's not allowed to get paid, I think, as a comedian. I think he explained that to me at one time, but not so specifically for what he's doing now, but what he was doing before.
Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah, I'm not really sure his rules because with him being an assemblyman and now a senator, as opposed to a surrogate, which I know you're going to get to with your comedy routine.
Well,
it's
surrogate,
not
we
that.
only think one thing.
I know what you think, but it's
What?
not. You think that I'm having the babies for everybody in Morris County.
She's a surrogate lawyer.
No.
She has babies for people who are going through divorce.
Not true. Not true.
What exactly is it? What did you become?
Guardianship, probate, and adoption is what comes through my office. So what does that mean? Somebody dies in Morris County, the will gets probated in my office. If somebody wants to have a guardianship in Morris County, like you have a senior parent, you have a kid with special needs that becomes an adult, through my office. Adoption you can forum shop. I won't complicate it for you, but adoption in Morris County goes through my office.
Is that right?
Yep. So you're called the judge of the surrogate's court. And because you're called the judge is a preclusion from certain practices of law.
How do you become this judge?
You're elected. It's the only elected judge in the state of New Jersey.
So you're running for it
Yes.
like everybody else.
Well,
running for something.
Every 5 years you run for this office. I have 2 years left, so I'm not campaigning. I'm just visiting the basement.
Right. I'm campaigning. Marino 2024.
I love it.
Well, I might need a judge.
I think you're out in front right now on that, aren't you?
I'm a surrogate. I'm like, listen, you need me for a little while.
Exactly.
This is amazing. So was somebody running against you to be this judge?
Right now, no, but there were. I had the primary, like everybody else, and then the general election, which we're coming up on now for others, not myself, this year, fortunately.
What is what you need to know and be or get educated to be the judge?
Well, here's what's interesting is my predecessor was a mathematician. He had a PhD in math, but was not an attorney. So I came into it as an attorney, having practiced in wills, trusts, and estates as well, knowing what I wanted to do, what changes needed to be made. He came into it as a businessman with a math degree and looked at it a different way. Now, I own my law firm, I own my real estate company, so I'm a business person as well. But I also had the legal aspect. So when I walked in the door, it was a lot easier for me to understand a lot of the procedures, I think, than if I had not been an attorney walking through that door.
So you actually do wills like what I was talking about.
I probate them.
You mean when the person passes away, you're the person that says, "Oh, let's be reasonable,"
No.
or you follow the contract, you follow
So,
the will,
is there a will or isn't there a will?
right?
If there is a will, then we go through a process called probate. If there's not a will, we go through a process called administration, which is statutory. Under the will, there's an executor that's appointed or that's named. I am the one that actually signs off on the appointment. So you get letters testamentary that you could take to the bank, you could take to an investment company, motor vehicle. You have to come to me to get those letters through a process called probate.
See, we all watch the movies that say, "Okay, they're in probate," and then you see these big family arguments.
Mm-hmm. All the time.
So probate can be a pretty messy thing,
It can.
and you're the person who decides.
No, so that's the interesting thing, right? We're called the judge, but I look at a piece of paper. Is the will there? Is the will subject to contest? If it's not, we can go ahead and issue the letters testamentary or letters of administration. If there's a contest, it goes to the superior court judge who sits down the hall from me. So my office is, we have the judge of the surrogates court, is my title, as well as the clerk of records for the superior court, which means if it's subject to doubt and difficulty, those family squabbles, it goes to the judge down the hall. So
It's
I
amazing.
switch hats all
People
day.
can't fight their own battles. They have to go through somebody else to decide what's going on. I mean, could you imagine? Okay, there's a house, and the family passes away, and it's left to three different kids. But two of the kids have mansions, and the third kid has nothing. And then the two people who have mansions say, "Tough shit, we want a piece of the little house."
It happens.
Yes, I could imagine. Wow.
We worked hard.
And
You
and
stayed
and
home.
and you as the person making the decision or helping getting that, do you ever look at the third person and go, "Would you guys relax? You have a mansion. You have a mansion. Let him have what he wants." I guess you can't do that.
I can't do that, but we do try to mediate. We try to get involved and assist in coming to terms with the decision and explaining the financial outlay. If you go to court, the financial outlay can be tremendous to where nobody has anything at the end of the day. So maybe they can do some sort of structured buyout, refinance, something like that, and they can get a little something, and the person in the middle can keep the house. We try to make it make sense for people if possible.
And in this thing that you do, are
This
you the
thing of
person,
ours.
this thing of yours, you actually would have to decide if a people would make good parents, and you allow the adoption to go through?
The judge does, but yes. So what we do is we collect all the papers from all the sides and we get it to the judge. And then once the judge makes the decision, we'll do the write up for them as far as the court order. Sometimes the attorneys will do it, sometimes we'll do it. But Judge Wright does our job adoptions in Morris County. We do annual adoption day every year. And that's the only day that I'm really in the court. They're closed, the proceedings are closed, so that the information about the kids and the families isn't public information. It's the only one that you actually cannot watch on Zoom or whatever, the court live. You cannot watch adoptions.
All right, let's try this for everybody who's going to think like I am. I'm married now, having a great relationship, but in this relationship we can't have children the regular way. So we decide we're going to adopt. Don't we go to an adoption agency?
Yes.
And that adoption agency says, "We have this many children, and this might be what you're looking for." I mean, I don't even.
I
Is it
don't,
like
I
going
don't know
to buy
if
a
it's a sales
car?
pitch. I'm not really sure it goes like that.
How do you do it? But why am I going to see you? Why wouldn't I just go to the adoption agency and them decide whether I'd be a fit parent?
So you do go to the adoption agency and they decide whether you'd be a fit parent. Everything goes that way. But ultimately, it ends up in my office just for the paperwork, for the judge to sign off that we've investigated this, it's legitimate, it goes by the law, and then we sign off.
So does your office actually every once in a while go, "Oh no, something don't look right. This guy's got a criminal record"? or something?
It happens not so much with the child adoptions because they've been vetted by the agency for the most part, but it happens when, let's say, you have a grandparent adopting a child of parents during COVID, right? A lot of people suddenly died, and there were children that now had no parents that needed to be adopted, and they were being adopted by grandparents and things like that. And yeah, it did happen.
Unbelievable. It seems like, well, I would assume maybe adoption should be kind of easy with all the kids who need housing or homes,
Right.
parents. What made you even get into that? I mean, now are you heading into politics, like the real upper echelon of politics? Like, is there a room that you're going to run for governor of the state of New Jersey? And
Listen, they say every person that runs for local town council or school board wants to be president of, whatever, president of the United States of America or something. I came here because I was doing well, first of all, I was a commissioner, which was called freeholder back then. They changed it 2 years ago. Um, that was a budgetary function that oversaw the operations of the county. So I would give more to this or less to that, depending on what needed the attention. There's 7 freeholders, so it wasn't me deciding. It was a majority of 7 making that decision. Those decisions, we pave roads. We have the sheriff's office. We have my office. The surrogate's office is funded by the county commissioners. And I did that for a year. And the gentleman who had my office before announced his retirement unexpectedly. I mean, he'd been there for 25 years. Everybody thought he was going to stay permanently. Decided to retire, and at the time I had visions of what I thought should happen in that office, in my current office. So I ran for my current office based on that. I loved being a commissioner, but here I was able to implement things that we now have legislation pending through Senator Bucco and Senator Panaccio that literally will change the way probate is done in the state of New Jersey if it passes, which is electronically. So right now, that California question that you asked me, imagine somebody in California having to deal with everything here in person or by mail, how long that takes.
right,
But doing it electronically, you can do it in 2 hours from California and New
right.
Jersey. So multiple states have it. We would like to have it here based on a platform that we've built out for seniors, people with special needs who have mobility issues that are our main clientele. So that being said, we have the electronic platform, but we'd like it to be expanded so that it has more benefit to more people. If the legislation passes, it changes the way that probate's done in all 21 counties in the state of New Jersey, whether you're in North Jersey, South Jersey, Central Jersey, all the same. So I'm really proud of that. Those are the kind of things that I wanted to bring forth that I have. As long as I'm still doing that, I have no intention of leaving this office. And there's a lot of things that I want to do there.
I don't know why I heard a rumor that you were looking to be the governor of
Is
the
that
state of New Jersey.
John Bramnick stirring up trouble again?
Maybe it was Bill Spadia.
Oh, God, it could have been.
It's funny, we know the same people, but I know everybody through a comedy world,
What makes
not
you
the
think
political
mine's
world
not?
at all.
What makes you think
Well,
mine's not?
I thought you meet everybody through politics. Okay, so let's move on to something else, okay?
All right, let's
All
go.
right. You showed me your life in let's say, a sports arena. Can we put it out that way? What made you become that? And could you explain that to everybody exactly what I'm talking about? Because I want you to tell everybody, because I feel like if I mention stuff like this, I might be coming at it the wrong way.
Okay. So, yeah, exactly. Wait. I was a competitive bodybuilder when I was in law school and during my years of practice. The last time
So this is when you were in law school in New York?
so I went to law school at Seton Hall in New Jersey. Yep.
All right, so the cat's out of the bag. She was training as a professional bodybuilder, okay? Heather has an unbelievable body. And tell us how you got into it and why.
All right. So I told you before I'm Polish.
Right.
So that comes with a propensity to put on weight.
Right.
Whether it's muscle or fat, as a female, you don't want to be. It wasn't in vogue. It was not on the cover of the magazines. Remember, you used to have magazines in the store
Sure.
when we grew up. Wasn't on the cover of that. Like very thin was on the cover. Now, I didn't have those genetics ever. I was never going to be that skinny little size 1 that was on the cover. But I still wanted to be lean. And bodybuilding was the way to do it. Lifting weights, of course, muscle burns more calories than fat. So I put on muscle to have a different shape. Instead of having the pear, I wanted to have that V taper. And the more muscle you put on, the more calories you burn. So I could eat a little more like a normal person, maybe have a slice of pizza once in a while, which if I'm not lifting weights and running and everything that goes with it, I can't do it. So it stemmed from the desire to have a physique that I personally appreciated on myself. I didn't do it for anyone else. I really didn't do it for the judges. The judges were sort of an accountability measure, right? You had to stick to it because you had a competition date. But we also like what we're good at. Being Polish and having those genetics, I tend to be very strong. So world record bench press back in the day, unofficial world record. I did it on stage quite a few times, but I didn't do it in a officially sanctioned meet. So
What is a bench press that would be bigger than anybody?
well, the biggest one that I was doing back then, the one that I've done on stage was 500 pounds.
You bench press 500 pounds?
Yep.
What do you got to do it once?
Once, that's it.
Once. You bench 500 pounds?
Somebody gives it to you. You don't
She
even
could
have
pick
to
me
take it
up
out.
and throw me out the window on a sled. That's unbelievable.
Used to, not so much now. The politics.
How old
is
were you
kinda-
when you were doing it?
So, 2011 was my last competition.
Right? So you competed.
Yes.
You wanted to be professional, semi-professional?
I wanted to be professional, but that's a misnomer because in men's bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding pays the bills. In women's bodybuilding, if you win top place in the Olympia, I think you maybe make $10,000. So professional male bodybuilders go to the gym. Professional female bodybuilders have careers in nursing, various forms of
Right.
medicine, law. Soldiers that I know compete. Like women tend to have both. So professional bodybuilding for women, very much a misnomer.
So when you were competing, I saw some pictures of you. I mean, your body was unbelievable. Looked like you were right in the top categories of any of it. And then you had an incredible tan. I saw the whole big tan thing.
You know how that happens, right?
You get sprayed,
It's a spray tan.
right?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I can't tan.
Neither can I.
I try. It just doesn't. You're on cruise ships and you can't tan.
No, I get
See?
burnt.
There it is.
So they spray you down?
Yeah.
And that's when you get up on the stage?
Exactly. And that tan itself is a thing, right? It's a big deal. Once it's on you, you better not accidentally get a drop of water on yourself. You better not sweat. You better not anything or it gets washed
Right.
off. It's horrible. So you put it on the night before. You have to, let's say I'm in Cleveland for the North Americans or something like that, or Dallas for Nationals. You have to bring your own sheets because that stuff comes off in the night.
Imagine that.
You can't mess
You
up
go
the
to bed
hotel
brown, you
sheet.
wake up and your sheets are all
Yeah.
jacked.
Oh, you have to go and get touched up in the morning, guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you don't get touched up in the morning, you're going to have spots and blotches. And then when it comes off, it's great because it doesn't come off evenly. You have patches of skin that hold it better than others. So some of it's off by morning and other parts will stay for weeks.
What is the spray tan for really anyway? It makes your definitions look better?
Exactly. It catches the light better, the lights and the shadows, and it makes the definition look better. And this is my favorite, right? So I can't tan with my skin complexion. And then I'll be in some tanning booth thing with somebody next to me who is black. And they're getting the tan and I'm getting the tan. So how do you compete with that? Like automatically.
They even get it too?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. They're like,
Why do they need it?
because the darker the better.
Really?
In bodybuilding, the darker you are, the better the look. So look at the top
Does
pros.
everybody get the same color? I mean, where do you get the color?
Well, you don't come out the same. So everybody gets the same color. I don't know where they get the color. The professionals, the spray people have it. It's an organization, like it's an enterprise. They have.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they
The
come in
people
with
who
these.
tan you specifically for a show.
You walk into a room in the host hotel, right? These competitions are in the conference room of a host hotel. You walk into a room, and there's all these little tents on a floor that's been completely covered in plastic to not ruin the floor, and these little tents that are made of plastic bags, essentially, like little teepees. You go in there, and the person tans you. You just turn in a circle, and they tan you.
I mean, are you naked?
Most people are pretty close to naked. I mean, you don't want it on your posing suit, so usually you're naked. So usually they have guys tanning the guys and women tanning the women, but
Wow.
not always.
And so when you go in there to get your spray tan, are you like starving for food?
So you're starving, you're dying of thirst. For me, the biggest thing was always the thirst, because the last 4 days, in order to achieve that dry look where, you don't want water under your skin because it blurs your definition. So you drink multiple gallons of water a day leading up to it for like 2 weeks, and then you stop. You just don't drink for 4 days. And the theory is your kidneys are still pushing the water out, but it's not there. So they're taking it from under your skin everywhere. Oh, it's horrible.
Wow. What's the competition like? Are you on stage with other girls who are kind of mean and nasty, and they're like, just, you don't have to mention any names.
No, honestly, in bodybuilding, it's amazing. Gym friendships are forever friendships, right? You meet one time, you do one workout, you're friends. You support one another. If there's something called bikini bite, right? So you don't
Bikini what?
bikini bite.
Bite?
Bite. It's like a glue stick.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your stuff moving when you start posing, right? You want everything to stay where it belongs. So if somebody forgets something, somebody will loan it to them. They'll cheer each other on. Like it's really like a family. It's amazing.
Oh, so it's a camaraderie.
It really is.
Oh, all right.
So no, I mean, you either look better than everybody else or you don't, and that's it. It doesn't matter what you look like the weigh-ins or a month before on stage. If you look better than everybody else, you win. If you don't, you lose.
So where do you go to learn how to do all the poses?
So
And their names of poses, right?
there are names. So they
Is
have,
the judge yelling out? I've never been to one
they
live.
do. Yes.
Do this pose, do that
Mhm.
pose.
The head judge will tell you what pose to do.
Really?
Yep.
So how do you learn the poses?
There are coaches. I mean, you can get it from a book. You can get it from a video. They sell videos. The guy who's I think he's the vice chair at the NPC right now, sells a video posing. You're better off to get a coach. And some coaches are better than others, right? Some of them will add, if you're stiff, you can't do so much of a dance routine. Others will do these crazy dance routines. There's this guy, Kai Green, who first did it. I don't know if other people do it now. He does a handstand. Then he does this, but with his legs.
Oh, really?
Shows the hamstring as the bicep of the leg. No one ever thought to do that before, but this guy Kai dances like nobody's business, and he can do that.
And he's an innovator.
He's an innovator. So, yeah.
So you learn these specific, let's say, standard poses.
Correct.
I only know the name of one pose. I think they call it most muscular pose,
Yeah.
where you like put up your lats or some shit like that, or
The crab, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's this? The bicep
Double
pose,
bicep.
double
front
biceps,
double bi. Yeah.
tricep pose.
Yeah. So you got him.
Well, I only know because you're watching, but you never really hear anybody say it.
Okay. The head
I never
judge
heard
is
anybody
saying
say,
it.
"Do this,
Yes.
do that." You just watch them, and everybody has a nice smile on their
Of
face.
course.
And then you see the end of a muscle competition when everybody comes out on stage and they just
The
go
pose
crazy.
down.
A
The
pose down.
Yep. So what happens is this. Somebody has to do a routine. You put together your routine. So Kai will do that, upside down, all this stuff. Not my thing. I can't move like that. I don't do it. But the only time you're actually being judged is when you're standing next to the other competitors. So they put you in a lineup and they move people around. And when you get the first call out, you're top 5. But they'll move you and they'll make decisions based on how you look against the other competitors. And that pose down is your final shot at the end to get next to that person that's the big girl or the big guy or the tight girl and show the judges that, look, I beat them. And
Yeah.
that's your last shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
It's kind
You
of
try to
like
muscle
pushing
each other
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's the exciting part. I could understand for a judge why it wouldn't be, why it would be one of the easier things to say, hey, I could judge these people because his leg's bigger than his, or this one's cut a little bit more than that.
Right.
And when they're together, it's easier to see.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, what would be your favorite pose?
I would say my favorite pose used to be the rear double by.
A rear double by.
So I face away from the audience, double bicep, only because I used to do everything wide pull. I still do wide pull downs, wide chin ups. So I had a wide back and I had a very developed back. So that was my favorite pose.
Okay.
I'm not even
How
gonna
often?
ask.
How often? I'm going to ask. How often do you go to the gym now?
So I put one in my basement during COVID.
Live from her basement. It's a
Live
gym.
it's exactly what it is. And it's growing. So if you need more stuff for the walls, for the ceiling, you can come shopping in my basement
I
for
would
stuff
love
I
to.
might. Let's do it.
Look.
I like that.
You remember sand weights?
Yeah.
Is that a 10? Well, it's like an 8.
No, you got to
Because
come
the
shopping.
sand came out.
We've got an old Electrolux vacuum over there.
Yeah.
Some irons, things that were in storage that are now going.
I like those
you,
things.
You have props for here.
I
in my
like
basement.
props.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And I want to expand the gym, so it's
All
a
right.
great situation.
I need some weights.
So yeah, I go downstairs and work out, or to the gym probably 4 or 5 days a week now.
In your home.
And well, either in my home. Some days I'll go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walk my dogs. Like I'll take them hiking, or I'll walk around the neighborhood. So I do my cardio that way.
I like to work out here in the gym with these weights because I
like
can
it.
have my coffee and donut and then do some curls. at the
Yeah,
same
I
time.
see it. What do you got over there? 10s? You got some 25s?
I got some 45s.
All right.
They just sit there, but I mean, I got them.
All right.
I remember when I was younger, you could do all of this. Now I'm like, I ain't
Is
picking that up.
that thing a pull-up bar? Is that what that is that I'm
Yeah.
looking at?
Mhm.
All right.
Actually, my weight set, you could do everything a person would need to do to exercise.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're not really even that old.
No, it's great.
Do people find you intimidating? Like, let's say you're in a courtroom and they're like, wow, that's Heather Darling.
I hear that.
She's not only a phenomenal lawyer, but she looked like she'll kick your ass in the parking lot.
I hear that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Apparently, I have this stare that I do.
Oh.
It's like, I don't. I hope I'm not doing it.
That's okay. I could take a stare.
But yeah,
The evil eye.
allegedly, I'm intimidating.
Right.
Which I think is interesting because, like I said, I didn't choose the size that I am. I didn't choose any of it's just my genetics. So that means that any woman that's not on that magazine cover, technically, would be intimidating to people, which doesn't make sense to me. There's a lot of intimidation going on out there if that's the case.
Were you ever in a situation where maybe you were in court and you were taking care of some legal business, and someone went, hey, wait a minute. That girl was a professional bodybuilder. This is her.
Not exactly like that, but yes. Yes.
That's got to be kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of nice. This is a funny story. When I first started practicing, I was much bigger than I am now. It was the time that I was the size that you saw in those pictures that you're referring to. And a lot of the guys that went to my gym worked in the courthouse as corrections officers. Not corrections, courthouse officers, sheriff's officers. So the courthouse is old and the doors creak. So I'd be up there doing what I was doing, and I'd hear, "Eep." I'd see a face, "Eep." The door would close, and this would repeatedly happen. And then later at the gym, I would hear, "So-and-so said they saw you in court today." So I guess they would all say, "Oh, that lawyer's here with the big muscles. You got to go see." Because the door would open like that, like 20 times while I was in there. And it's very distracting when you're trying to practice and you see these faces keep popping in. And then you hear about it later, so you know that that's what they were doing. It was really funny.
Well, there's probably so many different opinions on a female bodybuilder. Well, as there is on a male bodybuilder. Some people might think a male bodybuilder is just way too big. It's not that great. It's not sexy. And then there's other people who are going to say that's hot. And then you're going to have some guys who say, well, I don't know if that's very feminine. And then you're going to have a bunch of other guys going, man, that girl is hot. Because everybody has a different flavor for
Exactly.
what's going on in the world.
Exactly.
You know, there's so in the bodybuilding thing, did you take anything? Any drug enhancements?
I competed in NPC, which means you're subject to testing. So, no, I'm against people doing that. I think it shuts down organs, like it's been proven over time to be deleterious to your overall health. So, no.
Natural.
Yeah.
Natural bodybuilding.
Yeah.
There's some people are saying that you can't get to a certain level unless you do steroids.
I'm sure when you look at these guys that weigh 350 pounds all year, that are eating 20,000 calories a day and able to metabolize that, they have to be. But when you look at, like, what I weigh sitting next to you compared to what I weigh on stage, I weigh more right now sitting next to you than what I did on stage.
Right.
So it's an illusion because you're actually paring it down and getting very defined. When you see somebody that's as large as a house, I'm going to guess there's probably some chemicals in there.
What kind of pose could you actually show everybody if I asked you to show us? You can't? I mean, I know you got your jacket on.
I can.
What can you show us? Maybe the double bicep pose?
Sure. With the jacket?
Well, I don't know how you're going to do it with your jacket on. You might rip your jacket apart.
All right, let me see. I'm going to step off camera for a second to take this off.
She's going to get a spray tan.
I should.
How exciting is this? Ow, my back.
Yeah, me too. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
You're going to do a pose down with me, right?
I can, yeah.
All right, ready? Let's go. Put them up.
Wow, look at me.
Look at you.
No, you go in front. I go to back.
That's
Wow, look at that. You go in front of me. Nice. I like that. And so this is the
That's the try.
the tricep.
I got nothing left.
I could see though if you spray tan that little cut in there would probably stand out a lot better.
Maybe if I actually trained them more than a couple days a week too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You used to look like you could get ready and compete. What's the average age of a person who competes?
So there are competitions. There's people who compete into their 80s, men and women, into their 80s. 80s. It's fantastic.
Oh my God.
And see, I wore the white shirt today in case you asked me to do that.
Oh really?
So no, not really, but it does work out that I'm slightly darker than the white shirt by a slim margin.
You look absolutely fantastic. So
Thank
tell
you.
us where everybody can find you on the internet and what's going on in your world.
All right, so you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Insta at Real Heather Darling, and you can find me online at realheatherdarling.com, or I would love for you guys to watch, and Mike's going to be on my TV show, which is Have You Heard with Heather Darling, and that's on RVN TV. So you can watch that on Hulu. You can watch it on their network. If you go to my website, you find the link. And I'd love for you guys to check it out and, shoot me some feedback. Let me know what you think.
That's fantastic. I would like to be on your show. How come you call it Real Heather Darling? You needed that in front of it? Somebody else had Heather
Somebody
Darling?
had Heather Darling. Yeah.
Right.
There's believe it or not, there's quite a few people with that name. And I have, as an elected official, right, you always want to know what's being said about you. So I have that Google thing that when my name pops up, some of the people that do some of the things, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's terrifying to me that when I see the headline, I'm like, oh no, what is this? It's someone else all the time, thank God. But yeah, so I had to put the real.
It's a very interesting show, a little bit different than what I normally do. I wanted to have something completely different, someone who's extremely highly intelligent, knows all about law, knows about politics, knows about whether a family should or should not go through a major divorce and how to do it, and has a background in bodybuilding. She also was seen on a show arm wrestling somebody. Now, I don't know if that was propped or lead in. I'm not going to challenge Heather to an arm wrestling thing online.
Well,
when we're done.
Then it's on. Then it's on. Exactly. So full disclosure, that was John Bramnick, arm wrestling. And John, I know you're going to see this because Mike's going to send it to you. And I'm going to tell you that charity boxing match that we keep talking about, one of these days, we're going to make it happen.
You're kidding. You would do that?
I would totally do that, yeah.
Would he do that?
I don't know.
I've seen charity boxing matches, and I know they're done for good reason, and they would sell a lot of tickets because people love watching people beat the shit out of each other. Let's be honest. But how do you not get into it? I mean, somebody's got to hurt somebody a little bit and go, you mother...
That's the hard part, right? Because when you're sparring, somebody hits somebody a little too hard, and then the next person hits harder. So it would be interesting to see how that would work. But John and I have actually, ready, put on gloves. I brought them. He was doing comedy one night for the Madison Republican Club. And I said, I'm coming, and I'm bringing 2 pairs of gloves. So you know Bernie. The one pair wouldn't open. The zipper was shut on the bag. So Bernie literally ripped the zipper apart because he's like, no, we're not going to not have this happen. So John and I put on the gloves, and somewhere back on social media, there's a 30-second clip that Bernie filmed of John and I. John did the rope-a-dope. He was trying to tire me out and sucker punch me.
I wouldn't do it. This is a charity I'm not doing. I can't make it that day. Hey, listen, we got to get going. I'm so thankful that you came down to the basement to have some fun with us. This is Heather Darling. You know how to get in touch with her. Let's thank our producer out there, Tatiana Blue Shell, for always making this show fantastic. Thank you so much for helping us out and making this happen. This is Live from My Mother's Basement. Catch us on iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor, Italian American Radio in New York City, and, of course, all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Patreon. Send us some cash. On behalf of everybody here at Live from My Mother's Basement, remember, let's make America Italian again. You don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, and you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my broadcasts? By always saying the same thing. Don't take no shit from nobody. Ready? Don't take no shit from nobody. Hey, folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast Live from My Mother's Basement. We're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.